I feel like we're running a little bit long, and so I want to get into some of the questions we have because they're so good. I'm going to read one from Renee, I think Frias is her last name. And I want Elijah to respond to this, but then I want to definitely respond to it too, because I think it's kind of directed at both of us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't pro-life leaders call out the bad pro-lifers more often? Example. Read the comments under any big national pro-life organization's post. It's all fire and brimstone, calling post-abortive women murderers and sluts, telling them that they're going to hell, telling them to keep their legs closed, just awful, hateful stuff. That kind of behavior by pro-lifers needs to be called out because it's counterproductive.
1, agreed. We do. We should. And we do. 2, the audience that they're talking to, just like how we were talking about how you guys have a particular audience and I have a particular audience, they have a particular audience. So we call them out in the Facebook, like let's just say like in the response, in like on Twitter or whatever. What ends up happening is the people who originally posted it, nothing changes, and we just get their minions to attack us. And that's not fun. That's not productive. And what I would love to do is, if it was possible, I would love to reach in and grab the person who is talking and then pluck them out and put them right here and say, hey, okay, let's talk. But you can't do that. We don't have that technology yet. Maybe soon, but I'm not sure. But so yeah, I found almost always unproductive, but it doesn't mean I don't do it. I will continue to do it. And I do on a regular basis. Even like kind of silly things. Like I remember, I think it was like a year and a half ago or something like that. And I think Father Frank Pavone, he posted something. It was like tomatoes, and it said, this is a choice. And then there was a baby and this is a child, like butted up next to each other. And like, okay, I get what he's saying. But I also said, Father Frank, those are tomatoes. Like it wasn't like calling out bad actors or whatever, but like, it was just a little bit of like what are you doing? Those are tomatoes. But like, I don't know if I don't know if he even saw it, but whatever. It was just like one of those situations where like, I had an opportunity, and I do that on a fairly regular basis, especially with my page, where like there's another example of another person, I forget who it was, who talked about, not wanting to, what was it? Oh, basically third-party voters were useless or something like that. And I'm a libertarian. So like I called her out on, I remember who it was now, but I'm not gonna say who it is. I called her out and I was like, hey, this is where I stand on it. How about can we talk? And then she really did not want to have a conversation about it. And there was a couple other people who very like anti-woman kind of attitudes. And every time I comment, it ends up being, if I'm responding to them, it ends up being just a bunch of people responding to me, not really understanding what I'm saying. Or if I like retweet it with a comment, then it's a bunch of people agreeing with me. So it's that echo chamber problem that social media creates. And so the solution, I think, would be for people to be more open to being called out. But that is not a thing. Being open to being called out, I think has, for me, I'm very open to being called out. And I think that's a thing that I can confidently say with the self-reflection, because for me, I'm an engineer at work and I'm not qualified to be an engineer, as per a lot of people's opinions. And so I work really hard to do what I do. And on a daily basis, I make mistakes. And so like I'm called out by my boss 2, 3, 4 times a day about why did I do this? And so for me, it's just kind of natural to be called out, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I don't get offended about it. But yeah, other people, maybe they just don't have as critical of friends or something. I'm not sure, but to answer the question directly, it should be called out. I do call it out. And why don't I do it more?
Doesn't seem to do anything.
Try to do as much as I can, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't really seem to do much in some cases too.
My take on it is similar. I think it should be called out. We do call people out, but we have to pick our battles, especially if you're a leader or have a platform of any sort. You really need to pick and choose, because if you do it all the time, you're just the negative person, and people don't want to listen to negativity all the time. And if you have a primary objective that's anything other than, I'm here to be the self-policing pro-lifer. If you want to do anything beyond that, you really need to pick your battles and call out the stuff that really needs to be called out. Yeah. If someone did an act of anti-abortion violence, 100% you would see everyone calling that out because it needs to be condemned. But something like, and as far as the smaller stuff goes, like what they're talking about in the comment sections, I think that individuals need to start calling out too.
Yep.
So one of my favorite posts that you did in the last probably 12 months was just some sort of joke about, hey, just a reminder, you guys, you can actually get pregnant with your legs closed. I'm not going to go into detail, but like something along that line. Like you weren't crude about it, but you were like, just like a side note, like education, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually think that that's a perfect example of mocking bad ideas, mocking bad comments. And I think that if every time there was a pro-lifer in a comment section that commented that and someone mocked them and said, just so you know, you can get pregnant with your legs closed, and this is really counterproductive to our movement, you're not helping. If that was the line that your entire army of followers did under every post, I think things would get better. It would take a while, but we can't go around doing that. We can't spend all day long just because I'm full-time in the pro-life movement doing that. First off, you get blocked, so we need an army because that person needs to get that comment 12 times before it sticks. So the first 11 people are blocked. Maybe the 12th person gets a conversation. I don't know. Maybe it never sticks. But the more that's happening, and it would help. Imagine if every time we had that comment, someone was commenting below that. Like that would be so helpful. And so I don't think it's just up to the leaders. It's the leaders to model the way. Do what their primary mission is. If their primary mission is helping PRCs, they should be doing that. If it's helping pro-life people to make better arguments, they should be doing that. If it's helping make memes, they should be doing that. And so like we're all doing the same thing in different ways. And so I think that that's the reason. It's too negative to do it all the time. And I would spend my whole day doing it and not be done.
Yeah, well said.